Good morning. I am Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you. Going to talk to you about you and your business. Going to talk a little bit about what's happening out there in the business front as we do every morning. Here it is already Tuesday morning and well into April 2014. Let's talk about marketing your business, things you need to know, some of the best practices and some of the companies out there we like to engage in. We've learned about this company called Connectivity, the Connectivity Agency. It's exactly like it sounds, connectivityagency.com. And going to talk a little bit with the CEO of the organization, and delighted to have Sean Halter with us. Sean, welcome to the program. Tell us the connectivity story, if you will.
Sure. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, we started up as a media buying agency several years ago. I had been on the media selling side for many years and had kind of realized that really clients needed a little bit more of an understanding as to what they were buying out there. So several years ago, we made the switch. We flipped over to the to either the dark side or the bright side of the business, depending on which side of that fence you probably sit on. And now we work with mid-size and larger-size companies all over the country, helping them to better understand really that ever-changing media landscape that seems to be out there, from traditional and digital media and everything in between.
Very good. Tell us about who are some of your clients. You don't have to name names if you're not comfortable, but what do they do? Talk about the industries you tend to work with.
Sure. We tend to work in a few different, what we call silos. So we work with a lot of different live event companies. We work with World Wrestling Entertainment. We've done some projects for Cirque du Soleil and Live Nation. A lot of those are done, either regionally or kind of depending on the markets that they need help in. But we also work with local brands all over the country. We're in about 62 markets with various brands, and we're in the franchise space a lot as well. We work with First Watch and many of their restaurants. We work with Medi Weight Loss, both from a standpoint of the master franchise and then some of the individual franchisees. And then we work with, other franchise companies like Melting Pot, Grillsmith, Tropical Smoothie, Ben Franklin Plumbing, and so on.
Yeah, very interesting. So you're all over the place, business to business, business to consumer. Sounds like a preponderance towards business to consumer.
Yeah, I would say our focus definitely seems to be business to consumer. What's interesting, though, Kevin, is as this digital revolution continues to take place, many of those principles that have been used for business to business, almost that individual hand-to-hand combat, so to speak, is really moving over into that business to consumer space. The analytics that are there now allow you to really kind of precision pinpoint consumers, even from a business to consumer standpoint, that allows you to really talk to them, more directly and help to better understand what they're looking to buy and if that service makes sense.
Yeah, it's real difficult. I mean, people now more than ever want to have a quantifiable marketing campaign, and now more than ever we can do that. But, and it makes it difficult for some traditional media to compete with that.
Absolutely. I worked in the radio industry for almost 20 years. You're in that industry certainly to some extent, and obviously you continue to build your digital presence online. But certainly, the nice part with a show like yours is it's very targeted. Obviously, you're talking to specifically business people, so it's a little easier for an agency such as ours, if that's a target for us, to know that we're not going to have a lot of spoilage if we buy your show for the target. But when you're looking at many of the large-scale traditional radio stations, whether it's a rock format or a hot AC or something along those lines, it's going to get tougher and tougher for them to compete for those dollars when we can go out and buy very specific segments digitally and know that we're going to have little to no waste with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and it's kind of humorous in a way, in a sad sort of way, because you see things like TuneIn and iHeartRadio, which are essentially created by traditional media to compete against traditional media.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny if you think about it, but that's the way capitalism works. They don't have a choice.
Well, and I think when you look at kind of what Clear Channel was smart in doing, I mean, obviously they're a massive company. For them to realize, 6-7 years ago that they didn't want to be the Microsoft, I think, of the industry. In many ways, I think a lot of people feel like Microsoft kind of turned their back to what was happening out there because they didn't want to compete with themselves. But the reality is, if you don't compete with yourselves in many cases, somebody else is going to compete with you. And honestly, Kevin, we're no different as a company. I mean, while our traditional space is huge, and there's plenty of those advertising dollars that are still out there and people that need help with that, the reality is if we don't better understand what's happening out there digitally, somebody else is going to, and somebody else is going to be having these conversations with our clients. So in many ways, we are competing with ourselves, but we need to make sure that you're always staying in front of what that space is. The consumers are who are going to drive that, So they don't care anymore. They don't look at the business that we're in as traditional or digital anymore. They just know they want to listen to the radio, and they're going to do that sometimes in their car, on their phone, or wherever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's true. So tell us about, you mentioned you're primarily business to consumer. Which of your companies are business to business oriented? What are some of those?
Yeah, so, I think in that space, it depends on the client and the project that they have. So we do have some clients that we do business to business campaigns for. A lot of those are more on a consulting type basis. But probably 85-95% of our media is placed around business to consumer. And as I said, that's really predominantly in the franchise space, the live event space, and then in the retail space as well.
Right. Very interesting. And I think it's a great story. Sean, I appreciate you spending time with us, telling us about what you do, and really look forward to chatting again in the future.
Sounds great. Thanks so much. I appreciate the call, Kevin.
Sean Halter, CEO of Connectivity Marketing and Media, connectivitymarketing.com. And actually, that's connectivityagency.com. Again, connectivityagency.com. Great website. Encourage you to check them out. We're going to have more for you after the break. Do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usdailyreview.com. While they're, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter, and you're listening to The Price of Business.